There was a lot of
I
stuff you
ran a
did.
marathon. I did this on Saturday. I ran 26.6 miles without even training for the race. I just went out there because I was too busy in the recording studio or working out at the gym, wrestling and training, that I didn't have time to run, and I showed up all these cross-country and distance runners.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
You know, here's an idea for people out there listening to this. This guy would be good for participation commercials. He would be good,
What?
for participation commercials where you encourage people to get involved with certain things. That would be participation by definition is participating in anything really. And you sound like a good motivational speaker, because you try different things, they don't work out, you come back with something
I'm just still trying to get my big break any way I can because I don't really care about the money. I care about the love that these stars get. And a lot of these stars really don't deserve it. Like Justin Bieber, I hate to say this, but there's a lot better Canadian actors and musicians out there that aren't getting the time of day.
I understand that. I understand where you're coming from. And you take the show Victorious. I will not make a cent off of anything that they make after spending about 2.5 months getting this television deal for them. They've kept it for an entire year. Statistically, I probably am owed a quarter of all of their earnings, and I won't get nothing for it.
Shit, if you got me a TV deal, I'd give you at least 25, freaking 30% without even giving a crap.
And then they have this spin-off of the UFC for an edition of iCarly with the worst commentary I've ever heard in my life. Why don't they just call me to call that, fight for television? I know it's just done for, entertainment purposes and it's all staged, but I mean, at least I know the moves and the psychology that goes with the MMA, you know what I mean?
Yeah, if you're gonna make a freaking wrestling movie, at least make it freaking realistic. Like I saw Legendary with John Cena. I hate to knock John Cena's ability. He wasn't that great, but he was not the worst actor in that movie.
And how do you stage a UFC fight when you have somebody holding onto the other one's leg for the entire 1 minute round? That's not a fight.
Exactly. It just seemed ridiculous. I could see if she clenched and try to grab her arms or try to wrap the leg in and get her legs around. Okay, that would work. If you legged in, got in your guard from your back, that could work. But just hanging onto that leg and you got a single with your head on the outside.
And I mean survive.
That's the easiest way to get knocked out in a fight.
And I mean survive. That's all.
She had her head on the outside. She could have got cross-faced then. Too. That's all she wrote.
That's all.
Doesn't make any sense.
And I mean, there was the objective of it was to survive, so they were just trying to pass it off as, okay, this person doesn't know any actual UFC moves. I mean, the combat leading up to the climax, before the fight actually happens, I mean, they had the choreographing and the moves and everything down pat, so why not incorporate that into the actual fight scene? I don't understand that.
I know, at least, dude, give us something. Don't make us watch. Basically, all they've shown me with those shows is we're going to do the same old crap over and over again until you really wise up and notice.
Yeah, and put across the fact that we still suck. The thing about it is, and another thing they love to make fun of is luchador-style wrestling. They do that a lot. They make fun.
Oh, yes, that pisses me off the most because Lucha Libre, in my opinion, toughest form of professional wrestling because the movement and the danger and all the flips and the tricks you're not stopping at any point in the match. These WWE matches is usually a bigger guy beating the crap out of a little guy.
Mm-hmm. And what needs to be done, Nate, to sum it all up here, as we're coming to the end of the interview, we've done this for about a half an hour here now, coming to the half-hour mark. What needs to be done? What is the biggest fault in Hollywood, and what needs to be done to correct it, in your opinion? We know that children's programming loves to make fun of wrestling and the UFC. We saw that with iFight shoving Mercs. There are videos of this on YouTube that we've referenced. There was one edition of Corey in a House where they made fun of luchador wrestling. There was another one where The Rock came on Wizards of Waverly Place, said he was an actor, that's all he's ever been, completely covered up the fact that he was a professional wrestler and like a 7-time champion. What needs to be done here? You know, with Hollywood consistently referencing all these things, screwing it all up. What's the biggest fault, and what needs to be done here?
I've noticed this in several movies. They get directors that have no idea what the hell. They've never been a part of the sport. They don't know very much of it, and they're trying to choreograph these scenes, and it's just not working. If you're gonna freaking do a UFC or a football movie, get a guy. Okay, if you don't know anything and you're the director, get a guy that knows exactly what the hell he's doing and get him to work for you. They're getting their buddies who have no idea what they're doing, and it's just wrecking these movies.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's just nuts. And the shows, it makes me mad. And like you said, Nickelodeon, this isn't their first screw up. Have you heard of Big Time Rush?
Oh yeah, I heard of that. That movie.
They're a bunch of monkeys wannabes. Oh my God! It's like, why? It's like, you're ripping off the monkeys. At least do it right.
Yeah. Those three idiots. They had that movie, Big Time. Everything about them, their gimmick is, shoved in our faces a little bit too much. Everything has a big time reference, big time movie, big time tour, big time album. You know what I mean? It's just.
I know.
It's sickening.
Like, pick something. The monkeys, at least they cared about the music in some way. At least they stood for something.
You can follow Dan Schneider on Twitter at DanRap, I believe is the Twitter feed for him. One thing that we can conclude about him, ladies and gentlemen, is that Dan Schneider runs a successful production company. Yes, at Twitter.com, DanRap. He always gets his plugs in there. But one thing that he has no psychology or understanding of is MMA/UFC and professional wrestling. The guy has no clue whatsoever how to stage a legitimate UFC fight, perceive it as something that you don't know what's going to happen in. He just doesn't have a clue. I mean, the guy obviously has never heard of UFC or MMA in some form of legitimacy. And I'm sure you can agree with me on that too.
Oh, I completely agree. That's kind of the out of it. He needs to hit somebody up who's done it or knows what he's doing. It makes me frustrated. I still haven't gotten my break. I've just been out there, but I'm just not going to give up.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that I will eventually hit success, but the fact is, I probably will hit it. I'll probably be just like Jim Morrison. I'll probably only be there for like 4 years, then just I'm done. I'd like to think of myself as a comet or a shooting star. You look up and say, wow, there he goes. Then I'm just like that, I'm gone, and you never see anything like me again in your lifetime.
Well, you have made history here tonight because your 5th or 6th appearance on this show has turned out to be your longest. You have just completed a 35-minute and a half long interview. This is your longest appearance in the over 1,300 shows that we have done in the history of this program.
Well, time goes by when you're actually talking about something or trying to make a point, but I guess this must be a great interview if it's been that long.
Well,
how long was my first appearance?
Probably about
10 minutes?
10 or 15 minutes, but I mean, the topics that we've talked about here on this show are great. I mean, we completely shot on Dan Schneider. We've established that Dan Schneider does not have any understanding or can wrap his mind around UFC fighting or MMA. By the way,
I know, and what's funny about that is I wonder if he's related to Bert Schneider, the guy who screwed over the monkeys.
Oh, he probably is. He probably is. But
that makes sense. I think anybody with the last name Schneider in Hollywood should just leave.
Here's the thing about Dan Schneider.
How many people are you going to just screw over with your same old crap after? If you're going to do something, at least do it right. That's what Hollywood should start doing.
Here's the thing about Dan Schneider. The thing about Dan Schneider is he's a world-renowned producer, okay, who did nothing for that show Victorious whatsoever. Nobody knew who Victoria Justice even was. Or people knew of her, but didn't know of her to a certain extent. I didn't even know who she was. Just by chance, I saw the television show, realized they were on a crappy time slot. So he couldn't get them a primetime deal on a consistent basis. Here comes Jonathan Clarke, an absolute nobody, who makes this show, who makes her into a bigger star than she ever was. Dan Strider couldn't even do that.
Yeah, and what makes me mad about this is I have my own band now. I like to see us as like a form of the Beach Boys because we're all related and we all look exactly alike. We're all cousins. We all have the same last name. We all got the same trademarks. We got the hair, the glasses, and we all look good. And we can play and sing all our own instruments and write all our own songs. And we got our own producer, who in a way we kind of don't like, but he's our cousin.
Yeah.
He's my cousin anyway. And we're like the Monkees or the Beach Boys. We're doing all these crazy things, and somehow we aren't getting noticed.
Yeah. Still in all, Taylor Swift can buy. Still in all, Taylor Swift can buy a house worth $100.
If you got me a time slot in Canada, I'd be more than gladly to go down there and show Canada or the world what I'm made of.
You know, and the funny thing is, you know, you're trying so hard, and you know, Taylor Swift goes out and buys a $155 million home. You know, like, what gives them the right to pick and choose their stars? You know what I mean?
I know, it just pisses me off how arrogant these Hollywood actors are, a lot of them, but I'm just going for the gold. Some actors, I'm not going to knock anybody in particular. Some are just so full of themselves, and there's only a few that really help people.
Yeah.
Paul Newman, greatest actor ever.
And you know what the sad thing
is? But you never really see that anymore.
The sad thing is we're coming up on the 40-minute mark here, making history as the minutes go by. Hollywood now, unless you're not into this teen wolf, teen vampire crap, you're not guaranteed any success. It's all
exactly. And I fit the description. I look like I could easily be one of those vampires, but I still haven't gotten any callbacks about that.
You know how difficult it is to sit on a radio show and talk to somebody who believes in a vampire gimmick that much that it irritates you, and you're sitting there saying to yourself, this is not real? I had this conversation with Shelly Martinez, and she was so into it that it was just, and I was sitting there saying, this is not real. And she was saying, it is real. It's it's the way I perceive life. Well, it's not necessarily the right way to perceive life. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Well, Robert Pattinson isn't going to be with that bitch in the end. She cheated on him. Oh, I'm back together. That's what happened with me. You remember this, I was engaged. I was like at the top of my game,